Yeah, see, basically, what is voice culture? What is voice culture is to be in control of your voice. I mean, every voice is different. Every voice has its own identity, its own timbre, its own tone. Every voice is different. That's how God has created the voice. I would say, and it's a creation, and it's the most amazing instrument in our human body.
Right.
And so each voice is different from the other. So it is very important to first of all know one's voice. The understanding of one's voice is the first step. You must know what is good for you, what is bad for you.
Right.
That is one basic thing you have to understand before you adapt a lot of techniques and voice culture techniques to your voice.
Okay.
So when we say it's like a voice culture also comes with the breathing technique, the right breathing technique, the use of the right use of the abdominal muscles.
Right.
Everything has to do with the right production of the voice. So everything has to be right. So when we talk about the different systems of music and different voice culture techniques adapted to each system.
Right.
Of course, some of the techniques of other systems can be, for example, suppose we're taking Carnatic music, where that's what I do most.
Right.
When we talk about Carnatic music, there are certain techniques in Carnatic music itself, like when we say you start practicing with a varnam, or you start a concert with a varnam, because it's a kind of warm up piece. It helps warm up the voice because the structuring of the varnam itself is done in such a way as to give the voice a kind of warm up. It's like a warm exercise.
Right.
So then we have other things like singing the different sustaining notes. Then Omkara. Omkara is the greatest voice culture technique we have. The Om has all the sounds.
Right.
Ah, oo, and the So everything. So they say the comes from the nabi, and then ooh comes from here, ooh, and the comes from the head. So
I see. Okay.
So that's so it's a complete Om. It's a complete cycle.
Okay.
So which is very, very good for the voice. So there are so many things in our system itself, but at the same time there are fabulous voice technique exercises in the Western technique also, Western system of music, which can be adapted for, I personally have benefited from using them as warm-up exercises before a concert.
Okay.
A lot of lip drills and doing that. And, there are so many of those exercises which really help warming up the voice.
Okay.
But the music as such is so different.
Right.
The music, the expression of the music is so different. So that is something we cannot use from other systems, because each system has its own nuances and aesthetics. The most common thing is voice strain.
Right.
That they because one thing is when they suddenly start singing for long hours, and the voice is not used to handling that kind of abuse.
So somebody wakes up one fine day and decides that they're going to become,
and they suddenly start singing for 3 hours, 4 hours.
Okay.
Then it becomes a tremendous strain. Everything has to be done gradually. Okay. Every process has to be step by step, and gradually it has to increase. Only then it is easy for the voice to take it, and in the long run, you can sustain it. Otherwise, you'll end up with a very severe voice strain. The other very important thing is eating food at the right time. The acid reflux is a very big problem that many singers, students can experience. Because as long as you're young, it's fine. Okay. But as you grow older, you need to be really careful about your food and that's leaving your stomach empty. So that can really spark off acidity, which may be silent. You may not know that it's happening, but it could affect your voice.
So
for some it may not.
As well.
But it's each one's body again. So that's why I said you need to understand your body and what's good for you, what is bad for you. So each body reacts differently. So you need to really keep a watch on what's happening. While you're singing, what's happening? Is there a problem? Are you facing something? Every time you need to keep watch. Yes, see, normally how it is when we, as children, when we start learning, that's what the teachers sing loudly. Which is good. Singing loudly is very good. But then, over a period of time, it's also important for the teachers to be sensitive about the right voice production. I mean, at the end of it, it has to be pleasant. So how to get that pleasant tone and how to make a voice sound pleasant is something that is very important, that teachers have to advise.
And I don't think it's done much in Carnatic music.
Yeah.
And in fact, some of the great musicians in the past, I think people have always emphasized that it is the actual the jnanam or the knowledge which is more important rather than the actual physical aspect of voice. But
knowledge is important. So, but knowledge, when it comes with a beautiful voice, it can make it so beautiful. Like, first thing is you need to know what is good for you. That is the basic. Then you can work on other things. Slowly you can. But it again depends on what kind of problem it is. Suppose you have a problem with your range. It's how you use your head voice. That technique of using the head voice so that it goes very smoothly.
Can you demonstrate what people say, chest voice, middle voice and head voice? And for people learning Carnatic music who are not used to listening to these terms, these are terms are used in the Western world. In Carnatic music, even though we don't talk about it, do we actually use these various
No, we don't
voices?
use that consciously. It's not
used.
It's not used. You don't say use the head voice because the music has the aesthetics are it's so varied. You use a lot of everything in Carnatic music. You can be soft. You can be very robust. You can be very loud, powerful, and it is the circumstance of what kind of piece you're singing. And suppose you're singing a raga alapna, and if you're doing sancharas in the top octave with a lot of brigas, you need to really open up your voice and to make it effective.
But some amount of this aspect, like this head voice, will be used. Though.
Yeah.
We will definitely need to incorporate those.
Yes, definitely. Yes, that is there. But See, most of the time it is unconsciously you do it, but then it is, what I'm saying is, it's very important to realize and use the techniques. Once you start using the techniques, it can definitely, the production can be much better and less strenuous. Like you can you can sing it both ways. You know, actually the one I sang first is a little more loud, and it's a little more pushing.
Right.
See, but sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you control it.
Right.
You know, sometimes you control your voice, and it also depends on the song you're singing. Suppose it's a kind of a last item of the concert, a little more bhakti, a little more devotion.
Right.
Then there's a little more feel and there's a little more softness to that. But when you're singing these kalpanaswaras, and when there's the mridangam and everything comes together, there's a lot of dynamism, and there's a lot of exuberance. I mean, you tend
energy,
a lot of energy.
Right.
So there's everything in a concert. The whole dimension comes of the voice.
Right.
So that's one thing I would definitely say is that a person who has learned Carnatic music and who listens to other forms of music, other kinds of music, like Western music and Hindustani or any other form of world music, can easily adapt to any kind of music. A person who has the knowledge of Carnatic music, it's very easy for that person to adapt to other forms of music easily. The other way is, see, I can to a certain extent at least sing Western music.
Right. Western music is basically just flat notes. They don't.
But then, of course, that has its own.
That has its own challenges.
It's really the dynamics and the way the voice is used, the falsetto.
Right.
It's really amazing. But we can try. But a person who has learned only Western music, he cannot attempt Carnatic. He can't even attempt Carnatic music. He won't be anywhere close.
Right.
Because of the kind of aesthetics. The aesthetics are very, very strong in Carnatic music. There's so much of gamaka oriented.
Right.
So
and there's so much of it in the interpretation, and it is subject to interpretation by each individual.
Absolutely.
And it's so very hard for others to actually learn because there is so much of variance in it.
Carnatic music Carnatic music
Just strength and weakness for our music. Thank you for that wonderful, informative and educative talk. Voice culture is often, it's a very daunting and often misunderstood subject. And we hope that through these series of perspectives from various senior musicians, that all of us could have a better grasp and understanding of this subject. And we do encourage all the students and viewers to post your questions, and feel free to comment, and we will do our best to get back to you. Wish you all the best. Thank you.